Hey everybody, a lot of people were asking questions about steel wool, wanted me to do a little tutorial on it. Here it is. Basically, steel wool photography is where you take steel wool type 0, 00, 000, or quadruple 0. You could usually get a 12-pack or so from your local hardware store. Home Depot sells it. Usually going to be about $4 or so for 12 pieces. They'll burn for about 30 seconds or so, creating a lot of sparks, and they burn into the image quite nicely. A lot of things that you need to keep in mind when shooting steel wool. Number one, you need a holder. I use a steel whisk, kitchen whisk, and I tie it to a camera strap. When spinning it, it's a good idea to have a glove, or you could wind up cutting up your finger pretty good from rubbing it while spinning it. There's things that you can buy that will limit the amount of stress on your hand when spinning it. The harder you spin it, the further the sparks go, the more sparks there are that leave the whisk. So if you spin it and you're not getting a whole lot of sparks coming off, spin it harder. Image stabilization on the lens needs to be off. You don't want the lens moving around and trying to find a stable point whenever you're on a tripod. You want to make sure that you take it and put it to manual focus. Focus in manually. Anytime you do a nighttime focusing, you should be manually focusing on light. Have somebody hold up a cell phone, autofocus, and then put it to manual so that it stays where it is. I usually recommend f9 for shooting it. It leads to very nice sparks. If you open up the aperture too much, you're just going to blow out and overexpose all of the sparks. 2-second self-timer or bulb mode with a shutter release is usually going to be a good way to go about this. And I don't know if any of you have done a lot of nighttime photography. Nighttime photography is going to help you quite a bit with this because you do need to do it at night. Usually when doing a nighttime photography shot, what I'll do, I'll give you a quick rundown. I open up the camera all the way up to the highest ISO, open up the aperture all the way, and I take a test shot. Let's say I'm at about 1 second with it wide open at 2.8, let's say 1600 ISO. Every time you stop down the ISO one time, you're going to double the time. So if you're at 1 second with 1600 ISO, you'll be at 800 ISO, you'll be at 2 seconds. 400 ISO, you're going to change that to 4 seconds. And then so on and so forth. So you get all the way down. Same thing with the aperture. If you're at 2.8, you need to click it down to 3.2 and then click it to 3.5. That's going to be 2 clicks and you double the time. 1 second would be 2 seconds. Go from 3.5 to 4.0 to 4.5, 2 clicks of the f-stop, double the ISO again. You can take a 1 second exposure shot with high ISOs and also with a very wide open aperture. And you can figure out, if I make an f9 at 100 ISO, I should be shooting for 5 minutes. So you just figured out real quick with a 1 second exposure that your time needs to be 5 minutes with certain settings. And that's not playing around at night. Usually when you're doing this, you want to get in, you want to get done, you want to get it over with. Wait until the last minute to do the steel wool. The longer you wait, the less people are going to be looking. You see this for a long ways away, and everybody gets really, really curious on what kind of fireworks you're doing. If anybody comes over and starts asking you questions, be upbeat, show them your shot, say, hey, isn't this awesome? Make sure that you have a fire extinguisher. Make sure that if they see you with sparks and you're setting steel wool on fire, that you have a fire extinguisher. You want to make sure that they realize that you're not up to no good, that you're actually doing something nice. You also want to use a 9-volt battery or a lighter to set the steel wool on fire. I like the 9-volt battery because after doing a bunch of them, your thumb starts to hurt as if you're doing fireworks, and yeah, it's just easier with the 9-volt battery, but either will work. There's also a few other things that you need to be aware of. Number one is, or the most important is, do not put the 9-volt in the same pocket as the steel wool. Especially if you have more zeros on the steel wool, 00, 000, quadruple 0, it will lighten your pocket. Molten metal up against your leg is not a good thing. While you're looking at me going, yeah, what an idiot, who the hell would do that? Yeah, you're gonna wind up doing it once or twice and go, holy crap, I can't believe I did that. Or at least I know I was that stupid and I did it. Anyway, alright, not the sharpest tool on the shelf. You need to worry about a Wad ejection. big thing of steel wool, spinning it around. Every now and then that big clump will come flying out. The sparks hitting you just bounce off of you. It's kind of like doing welding. The sparks hit and bounce right off. They don't hurt. You have a spark land on you and it stays steady. It's a piece of molten metal. You have a big wad come and hit you, you got some serious problems there. In this picture here, a big wad flew and it wound up hitting the windshield of my car and exploding, molten down to the windshield wiper, and set my windshield wiper on fire. Yeah, rubber, and it set it on fire. I had to replace the windshield wiper, and it actually did a little bit of damage actually to the glass on the car, believe it or not. Just be careful, be aware of your surroundings. Doesn't normally happen, but if it can go wrong at a bad time, it probably will. Use your judgment. Clothes, you usually want to have something with a hat or a hoodie or something like that. The spark comes down and lands in your hair. It's going to kind of stay, you know, in one place and start to melt your hair or whatever. So it's a good idea to have something on your head. Like I said, sparks really don't hurt much. And there's one other technique that I do. One technique that I like a lot. It saves a lot of time. Take one shot, one long exposure. F9, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it winds up being exposure-wise, and you get one image like this. And then what you do is you take the second image of only the steel bowl. So same f-stop, you don't change any of the settings on the camera, bulb mode, you just open it up. As soon as you're done with the steel bowl, close it. Take these two images and put them both into Photoshop and layer them. The bottom image is going to be the nice layer without any steel wool. It looks great, nice and bright. The second layer, or layer 1, will be the actual steel wool. And just on layer 1, just do lighten. So only the steel wool is going to shine through. The bright image on the bottom will actually go ahead and show, you know, in the image. This is going to allow you to do a 5-minute exposure, and instead of having steel wool in it, you could do maybe 5 different shots of steel wool. Figure 30 seconds a piece, that's 2.5 minutes. So instead of 5 minutes a shot, you could do one shot and then do 4 or 5 different other shots in 5 minutes. That's or 2.5 minutes as the case may be. It's going to save you a lot of time, let you do a lot of steel wool shots and not have to sit there and wait for the ambient lighting in the background to bleed through. It's going to save you quite a bit of time. Anyway, there's a lot of other little tips. And one other thing, the steel wool bouncing sparks off of other objects, they usually will explode and lead to really cool cool shots. You can walk when doing the steel wool, you get this type effect. You can do it overhead, you get this type effect. You can do different backgrounds and have it bounce off of things. It's a lot of things you can do, a lot of different ways you can do it, a lot of ways that you can have fun. Just please do it safely, and you know, show us some of your photos. Post them up on the message forums, post it up and show other people what you've wound up coming up with. Anyway, my name is Fred. I'm also known as Durf on the forums. Please leave a comment, forward this up to other friends that you feel that it might be interested in doing this type of photography. Most of all, have fun. Bye.